Hello, we're going to talk a little bit about part 5. No, you did not miss part 4. For this project, I found in my experience it's easier to go from part 3 to part 5 and then part 4. So, not to be confused, we're going to do the part 5 formative assessment plan now, and then you'll be doing part 4, the summative assessment, last. So, part 5. Part 5 is a formative assessment. You'll be using the same standards for this part as you did for parts 1 through 3. Part 5, here are our two templates again, the one that gives you the prompts and then the one that you're going to actually fill in. This is pretty easy, and it asks you really about formative assessment. How do you know each day what the students are learning and what misconceptions they have and what you need to reteach for the next day? So in order to do that, you have to have some sort of assessment, some sort of check to see how students are doing. And this is just informal. So what I've done is, if you look on our website here, you'll notice that there is a PDF file that has about a gabillion types of formative assessment. It's a really interesting book, actually. There's not a lot of it. If you want to read the first part of it about formative assessment, it might be a good idea, but I think that our text does a really good job of it. If you look at the table of contents here, you'll notice that 1 through 29 are formative assessment strategies for teachers. And this is if you want to know how students are doing, what you need to inform yourself for instruction. And it goes all the way down to from 30 to 53. There's a ton of these. And then if you're interested in formative assessment strategies for your students so that they can see how they're doing, they also give you some ideas here. I think mostly what we are looking at for part 5 is these assessment strategies for teachers so that you know where students are, what they're doing well, and what you need to work on the next day. So there's like a gazillion of these. And they do a really good job in the text of explaining exactly what they look like. They give you the consumables, surveys, demonstrations, discussions, all kinds of great links that you can go to. So this is a really good resource here. So let's talk about what this looks like. So what you'll do is, if you have identified your standard and it's only a standard with no objectives, then you're going to type your standard in here and you're going to either look at that list that I just talked to you about, or find out on the internet, or find as part of your content area discipline what method and strategy you want to use. Now, these are two separate things. Method and strategy are not the same thing. Remember, the method is on that chart on page 94 in our text. So that's the very first thing you're going to put here, is you're going to put the method, and I would just put a colon there and then type what method you're going to use. Selected response, whatever it is. The strategy is what that formative assessment is called. So if you look at our list here, these are the strategies. So you might put 1-minute essays, or you might put list of 10 things, or learning logos. Okay, so make sure that you understand the difference between the method, which is in our textbook on that chart, and the strategies, which is exactly what you're going to do. Okay, that's really important. So you'll include both of those here if all you have is a standard and no objectives. If you have a standard, like the example that we used earlier with mathematics, addition and subtraction, there were clarifying objectives, and most of you will have clarifying objectives. So you will just skip all of this, and if you want to, you can just delete it. Okay? Just copy and paste your standard in here, and then your very first clarifying objective. Remember, this comes from cut and paste, right from here, part 2. Okay? Where you write your objective, you just cut it and paste it. cut it, and paste it here. Okay? So once you've done that, then you're going to investigate what method is going to be best for that objective. And you'll do that by identifying what kind of objective it is. Okay? Remember that chart in our textbook, and that will help you. The strategy, again, you can pick from this list or wherever you want. And then you'll need to include some important information. So I want you to briefly describe the assessment. So if you're going to be doing the paper pass, I want you to sort of read it over, and then in your own words, I want you just to tell me what this is all about. What is the paper pass all about? Okay? Here's the paper pass. It's sort of like brainstorming, and this is what students are going to do, this, da, 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 da. So tell me all of that, okay? Please don't cut and paste it from here because that's just sort of random. You can't do that. What questions or prompts will you use? Yes, you need to list those here. And then what are the directions for students? Yes, you need to write those here, okay? So all of that will go here. And the best thing you can do is to use a header here, okay? And put, description, questions, directions, and then just fill it in. So there are 4 spaces here, but I don't require you to have 4 different methods and strategies. Really, I'd like you to do one really good one, okay? If you find that you can't find one that sort of completely assesses the whole objective and you need to use 2, that's what these spaces are for. But honestly, one method and one strategy should be enough for this formative assessment plan. Make sure that you show me all of these details. Then the second part is all about student outcomes, okay? So I want you just to tell me, how are you going to evaluate the assessment? And a lot of that is here, okay? You have to be really clear about what that's going to look like. Do you need a rubric? Do you need a check sheet? Is it going to be a discussion? How are you going to evaluate the students? And remember, this needs to be valid. So it can't just be, well, I'm just going to listen to their discussion and hear how it goes. You have to have some way to sort of validate that assessment. And then the other part is what's the evidence that students will produce? A lot of times in class, we'll have a discussion or we'll do sort of a round-robin sharing, and that's okay for general class assessments. But for this project, I'd really like you to find something where there is some sort of evidence about what students know and are able to do. It's always helpful as a new teacher if you have the evidence, because sometimes you forget, you don't take the notes right, whatever. So for this project, I'd like you to make sure that you have some sort of evidence. So for example, if we decide to do paper pass, as the paper goes from student to student, you will have a growing list of evidence, okay? And then here they even give you a little more formal use where you can divide the students into groups. And so you know exactly who does what. There's some great ideas on here. So make sure that you give me really good details. That's what's going to distinguish an okay grade from a fabulous grade. Again, you're not required to do all of this. However, you might decide for Objective 1 that you want to do the paper pass or a learning log. And then maybe Objective 2, a learning log would also make sense. Okay, so if you are creative enough to be able to have one formative assessment that will meet all of your objectives, that's pretty major, then you can put them all together, Objective 1, 2, and 3, and give me the method and strategy, and then give me all the details. Okay, that's really hard to do. It's a lot easier if you break it up and you say, okay, so we're going to do the paper pass here. For the next objective, we're going to be doing, problem solving. And then this one might be a ticket out the door for the third objective. Okay, so any of those are fine. The most important thing is that you make it really clear. Again, this is mastery learning, so give me the best that you've got, and then I will give you lots of feedback and help you sort of move forward with it. Okay? So this is all about formative assessment.